Okay, here we are back again. This is reveal number 373, 1945D plastic tube roll. Nice looking little roll right there. It is March 27, 2022. It is almost 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go ahead and get started on this 1945D roll right now. Waiting to see how many other people might show up who want to watch. We have 6 in here right now. Oh, Mr. Adams. Oh, this one's still taped shut. Oh, this one's not going to be easy. This has got Scotch tape on it. I hate Scotch tape. So, let's see here. I'll work on cutting through it. Just need to injure the tape to the point where it will break free. Because trying to peel this stuff is, gosh, near impossible. Finding the end of it is hard enough, but then trying to peel it is, gosh. Okay, there we go. Finally got that done. There we go. So it's obvious I've never seen through this one because I don't use Scotch tape on rolls. So here we go. Alright, there's all of our coins. Alright, they're nice and pretty, waiting for us. 1945D. Well, let's take a look. Just for the sake of education, let's take a look at what are we going to find, or what are we looking to find. 1945D. So we go to the die variety search, we hit 1945, we go into the D mint, and just hit enter. Well, for 1945D, here's what we have so far. This is what we know about. Really nice Class 6 double die obverses. There's some nice doubled eyelids. There's another Class 6 that hasn't been photographed. There's a Class 2 plus 6, and Class 2 is distorted hub doubling, which means that you've got a little separation line showing on the edges of the lettering. We've got another one, nice one. It shows up here on the letters of the motto. So we've got that's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, we've got 17 different listed double die obverses for 1945D. We have 0 double die reverses listed for 1945D. And then here's the RPMs, starting off with a nice north. Then we've got one on the inside here. Another one to the north. And we'll keep going through this list and keep looking. We've got a lot of RPMs listed for 1945D. So this is a possibly high yield roll. Could be a lot of stuff in here. So that's what we've got. That's what we know about. Die rotation is going to be an error. Die rotation is not actually on the die. It's about how the die was placed into the machine. So if it's about how the die was placed into the machine, whether it be off center, whether it be misaligned, whether it be tilted, whether it be rotated, that's all classified as error when you find them. So here's Mr. Birchman, coin number 1. Coin number 1 is... It's a nice looking 1945. Looks like it could have a little bit of a doubled eye going on there. So we're going to save this one out and take a better look at it later. And we will check the reverses on these. Just because I like a challenge. Challenge is there are no known double die reverses for 1945D. That doesn't mean there can't be. That just means we don't know of any. So there we go. Coin number 1 is probably a minor die variety. Coin number 2 for Taco John. Coin number 2 coming right up. And got nothing on the mint mark. Nothing in the eye area. Looks like no doubling on the obverse, although we do have a pretty nice looking coin. Let's flip it over and take a look at the other side. And got nothing going on there. Just a nice coin. Now, coin number 3. This one's for Carl. Carl. Not an RPM. Not a double die obverse. Not a double die reverse. On to number 4, Kelly Ray. Kelly Ray. I'm going to start taking marker information on these. There's a big dot out in front of the chin. There's actually 2 of them. There's one right here, and there's one right here. Big dots out in front of the chin. We'll take those as a marker that we've seen this die. Rather high, well-centered D. And let's take a look at the reverse on here. Got nothing going on there. That's for Kelly Ray. Now number 5, Mr. Pintoff. I do have some pretty nice looking coins here. Okay, not the same die. This one's got 2 die scratches running straight out from the lower lip and the chin. It is not a double eyelid. I don't see any doubling on the obverse. Not an RPM. So let's flip it over and see what we have on the other side. Nothing. As expected. But you never know. Things can change. Here's one for Taco John. And Taco John. Nothing on the mint mark, the date, the I, the motto or liberty. And a little machine doubling right here. You can see just a little bit of doubling on the side of the M and the U here. And I'll show you up close how I know this is machine doubling. There we go. Okay, so first of all, you can see that there is no notching at all, meaning that there is no place where you can see 2 sets of letters coming together. It's basically just one letter that has the edges shaved off of it. You can also tell from this M right here and how thin and narrow this portion of the M is. Right here. This is all real thin and narrow compared to this part, or this part even. And you can just see how there's no corners to the doubling. The doubling is flat, laying flat on the field. It's not rounded. Okay. And okay, here you got a scoop taken out of the U right here with nothing else. You're never going to see a double die that looks like that. Double die, if you've got this much spread in one part of the letter, it's going to be an equal spread going all the way around for that particular part of the letter. Don't see anything anywhere else. Okay, on the end of the wheat, you can also see the machine doubling. It kind of keeps that direction going most of the way around. So it's basically just a shift to the south. So basically the die just took a shift to the south while it was minting the coin. And that, people, is exactly what classic machine doubling looks like. It is not a double die, not even related to double dies, and it has no premium value. Because you could have possibly had only one of these minted this year, but you could also possibly have had millions of them minted, because that machine could have been malfunctioning for days on end. So because there's no real good certain count for how many of those to expect out there, and that the occurrence of such a thing is generally common, we're not going to pull that out as something that's scarce just because it's doubled. Doubled dies are scarce because they are. Doubled dies have a particular mintage run. Oftentimes that mintage run is curtailed by maintenance or by some other issue where the die is removed from service. Sometimes they mint a full run of coins, only a few rolls of which actually end up being saved and the rest go into circulation. You never know. So we can't be certain in any case of exactly how many double dies are out there, but we do know that it is a definitely repeatable thing. Hello, Kelly Ray. Now, some people will define a die variety as anything repeatable, anything that can be repeated from coin to coin to coin. But the part that is missing there is that the anomaly was on the die at the time it was hung on the press to start making coins. So a double die is on the coin when the double die is on the die when the die is created, at the time the die is made for use. Something that a lot of people will call a variety, which is a cud. A cud is a die break that happens near the edge of the die, breaks a piece of the die completely off, and then you continue to mint coins with that piece of the die broken completely off. Well, see, there's a problem with calling that a variety, because a die variety would be that die, everything for that die. What happens before that break happened? You would have a completely normal die, completely normal coins. So if you have a completely normal die making completely normal coins, how could you call it a die variety? You can't. But then after the die breaks, you want to call it a die variety. A die variety is a die thing. It's related to the die, not to the coin. So a die variety had to have been a die variety at the time it was created. So cracks, chips, clashes, things like that are all minor little errors that come along, or age marks, you might call it. Usage marks on the die. And those are generally considered of some value if they're really nice and probably should have been removed, or the die should have been retired, changed out, or something else. And a cud fits in all of that. Die chips, die breaks, die cracks, cuds, and none of those are varieties. None of them are die varieties. Die varieties are basically just doubling on the dies by some human error during the process of creating the die. Now, repunch mint marks come on after the die was created, but before the die is used. So generally back in those days when repunch mint marks were a thing, the dies were made with no mint marks, and then they were set in storage. At the time, a branch mint would order dies from Philadelphia, because all dies were made in Philadelphia. Mint worker would get some dies out of storage that they had created. There's another one of those double die lids. Would get some of the dies out of storage that they had created, send it to the die shop, and they would punch letters, the mint mark letters, onto the dies. You make a mistake at that point, then you have a repunch mint mark or an over mint mark. Now, when those are used, the entire life of the die from that point forward, entire life of the die shows doubling on the mint mark because it was on the die when the die was hung to be used. So you have a die variety. Paul, how many coins does a die usually last? A really good question. That depends on the size and the design. The larger ones last generally fewer coins, and the ones with deeper designs or striking harder metal usually last fewer coins. So it's really not a generalized thing that fits all the way across the board, but if you want to talk about Lincoln cents specifically, Lincoln cents and Lincoln cent dies can generally last up to about 1 million coins. Generally. Some of them make fewer than 10,000 coins. Other ones make 2 million coins, but in general, roughly 1 million coins. Now, we have a lot of repunch mint marks for which we only know of a dozen or half a dozen cases of those in existence. What happened to the rest? Well, we don't know. All we can say is that it's been identified, people look for them, and don't find them. There's another doubled eyelid. So when people look for them and don't find them, that must mean that they're scarce. Something has kept those from populating the world with examples, and nobody really knows what that was that kept them from populating the world. Now, sometimes you can find clues. You'll have an early die state die variety, such as a double die or a repunch mint mark, an early die state, meaning just created and hung onto the press, that already has a crack or a blemish in it, has some sort of damage to the die. At some point early on in its life, it could have shattered. It could have been removed from service because it's just not something that they wanted to use. It could have been something that was basically toward the end of the day or toward the end of the process run. I'm going to check this one again. Same coin. Just going to check it again real quick. Okay. Have to do that sometimes because when I'm talking, I forget what I'm looking at. Here's Paul Hampton. Coin number 20. I can count. Coin number 20. But so if a die is hung near the end of the process or near the end of the day, or let's say that a die breaks, a new die is hung to be used, and the director calls down and says, hey, we just got a huge order for nickels. You're going to have to take the penny dies down and wheel everything out and get ready for nickels. So you could strike a few thousand coins with a die. Nothing wrong with the die. Nothing wrong with the coins. But then shut the presses down to move to a different denomination, say. And you're not going to use that die's life up just because it's hanging on the press. The mint is all about making a particular number of coins to fill exact numbers of bags. So they've got their counters set to only mint so many coins. So at the end of that process run, there's another one of the die, little double die. Sorry. Missed my words there. And because they're at the end of the run, they're going to shut the machine down. They're not going to use that die to the end of its life. So that could very well be the case of what happened with some of the scarce die varieties. That's right. Eric says searching for the unicorn is one of the best parts of the hobby. He's right about that.
3 different 1960D RPMs come into mind. 1960D. You're talking about a date that is common. There are a lot of rolls out there. A lot of coins. There's over 200 different known die varieties for 1960D, of which probably 40 to 50 of them have very few examples known and are very difficult to find. But only a few of them are very famously very difficult to find. And those are the ones that are the unicorns that everybody's after. RPM number 4, number 9, number 11, number 44. The number of them that are quite scarce. There's one for Stephen. See what we get for Stephen. So we're finding doubled eyelids, and that's about it in this particular roll. Haven't seen much of anything else.
Still no double die reverses.
Well, true bag coins should never go out, but you know, we aren't making coins straight out of trying to make perfection. We're making coins because they are commercially used bits of metal that represent a certain amount of money. If the representation is there successfully, and the coin has the durability that it needs to withstand the test of time in circulation, they're going to let it circulate. It doesn't matter if it has a little bit of doubling on it. It doesn't matter if it has a little die crack on it or something. They're trying to extend the life of these dies as much as they possibly can. They're not going to replace them as soon as they start to crack. Those things are going to crack and basically fall apart before they replace them. So the idea that the coins should be really nice, yeah, I guess so. But the idea that there should be a limitless amount of perfection expected in each coin, no, not going to happen. Not when you have a press minting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of coins per day on a constant basis. Day in, day out. Month after month after month. Here's another one of the doubled eyelids. Little things like this go unnoticed by the mint. We collect them because they're fun to collect. They're fun to identify. It's fun to be able to tell our fellow coin nerds that we have all of the doubled eyelids known for 1945D now. You can only do that by acquiring them. One way of acquiring them is being involved in these roll reveals, where we find the goodies and get them out to you. There's Coin Dragon for you. Hey, Coin Dragon. Deanne. Deanne up next. Let's see what we have for Deanne. Nothing on the obverse. Nothing on the reverse. Yeah, I would like to remind you that Tuesday is going to be a relatively special event in that I'm going to have just boxes of coins, and I'm just going to lay coins out on the desk. Kind of like if you remember how Ken Peavy used to do during his broadcasts, where he would put stuff together and just keep putting it together on the desk. Just keep piling it up until he was done. That's kind of like what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be showing my desk and just putting coins on the desk, putting rolls on the desk, putting whatever on the desk until we get to a point
where the bidding has come close to the value of everything that I had put on there for that particular lot.
There won't be very many lots on Tuesday, but there will be a lot of coins, a lot of rolls, and a lot of other things. There's going to be some mystery boxes. I hope you can join me on Tuesday. There's another one of the doubled eyelids right there. Tuesday is going to be a good day. Sunday, we're just cleaning up some loose ends from other days.
Other auctions.
I also have some past inventory that I'm going to bring out. Stuff that wasn't paid for, stuff that didn't end up going out, stuff that wasn't bid on. Hey, there we go. Another one of the doubled eyelids. That will be going into these, I'm going to call them mystery lots. They're not necessarily going to be boxes full. Could be some that'll fit in an envelope.
All singles. But I have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that I want to see into the hands
of caring collectors. Not a doubled eye this time. A nice little stripe of color on that one. It's a little bit of an impurity, a streak of impurity in the planchet.
But I would say if you are looking for just a mass of
neat stuff to look through, you might want to show up on Tuesday. Tuesday, 7 p.m. I am not going to have a list because everything is going to be a mystery from the beginning to the end. There will be semi-key coins.
There will be better grade coins. There will be BU coins, BU rolls. All kinds of pretties.
For my band of listeners, there again, a doubled eyelid. Another doubled eyelid
comes out of this 1945 D roll. It is. It's going to be some serious fun. That's going to be on Tuesday.
Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Copper Coins channel. There's another one. Another one of our doubled eyelids right there. This one's seen some slightly better days.
This one's for Taco John. Altogether, I'm expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of probably
50 to 75 pounds of coins. Maybe even more than that. There's another one. Another doubled eyelid right there. You can see the little piece just below the eyelid. A little bump. I'm calling that a possible doubled eyelid. We're going to have to take a better look at it later to see that it is something that we can list, but I do believe it is.
Hello, Larry. Welcome to the crowd.
There's Eric. Another one for Eric. Let's see what Eric gets. Well, Eric gets... Let's see, is that... No, that's not one of the doubled eyelids. It doesn't appear. It might be. Having trouble figuring that one out right now. Let's see. What else do we have here?
No, not really seeing anything there. After 4 boxes mailed last time, he asked, how many more do you need? And then you say, all I can get.
All right. Gosh, this coin's got hit. A little bit of a beating. This one's going to go to Eric. I don't see a die variety here. Nothing on that one.
How many more do you need?
Sounds like my wife. Tell her, well, I'm going to go travel across the state to a coin dealer here. Pick up some more coins. So you're going to pick up more coins? What do you need to pick up more coins for? You've got enough, don't you? You got another double die lid right here.
That one's for Taco John.
Yeah, but see, Eric, you have bullets to shoot back with. How much more fabric do you need? There you go, another double die lid. How many more sewing machines does it take?
You have a grocery buggy full? Oh, how sweet those days were.
Well, when I run out of room, I just buy a bigger house. Seems to be the way it works for me. Yeah, we're considering a weather-safe building. With air conditioning, the whole 9 yards. Probably a 10 by 20 foot. Build it right here in the yard. Yo, man. Getting a bigger house. You keep going, you're going to need a bigger house. I'm going to need more connections. Yeah, figure out who to get my coins from. I'm getting plenty, but not enough. All right, there's that.
Coin number 47 now. Got 4 coins left. This is the first of those 4 coins. This one's for Mike Birchman.
And Mike gets... Well, looks like it's just a nice 1945 D. Lincoln cent.
And that's it for that. Need more coinections. That's correct.
Int 2242. What do we have for int? Yeah, just another normal 1945 D. Lincoln cent, but it's a pretty one. Pretty, pretty, pretty.
Nice gem coin. Coin number 49 now. For Crispy.
You remember the old cereal commercial, Crispix is crispy times 2? How I remember that kind of stuff. But that's what reminds me of when I say crispy. Crispy mofo. 1776.
Crispix is crispy times 2. Last coin in the roll. This one goes to Carl Ignatz.
And Carl will get... Well, it looks like it's going to be just another normal 1945 D. Lincoln cent to top it all off. Crispy makes you think of bacon. Crispy bacon.
And so there we go. A pretty decent sized stack of regular coins here. But in the die variety area, we have a number of coins. Pretty much all of them are going to be double die lids. Here's coin number 43, 42, 39, 38, 37, 34, 33, 29, 22, 18, 14, and number 1.
There's that. What do we have next? 1940. What is this? 47S. Okay. Got a 47S coming up next.
If you give me about, I'm going to say roughly 10 minutes, I'll be back ready to go through that roll. So go find the reveal number 374.
Go ahead and grab your cup of coffee and wait for me there. I'll be in there in about 10 minutes.
I appreciate it, folks. I'll see you then.